Katie Greenbrier, the eldest daughter of the Greenbrier family, arrives back home after a year-long trip in Europe to find the house completely empty with no sign of her family anywhere to be seen, as if they vanished under mysterious circumstances. Hi folks, I'm R, your narrator, and welcome to Gone Home. This is a heavily narrative-based game which entails the story of a family with a lot of ups and downs. If you have any video or game suggestions, make sure to send them my way on my Twitter or subreddit. Keep in mind that this video will have spoilers, and with that in mind, let's dive in. Caitlin Greenbrier, more commonly known as Katie, is the eldest daughter of Terry and Janice, who moved to a large mansion, 1 Arbor Hill, in Boone County, Oregon. Katie, being only 21 years old at this point, finally comes back home from studying in Europe for a year, excited to reunite with her family, including her younger, introverted sister, Samantha, more commonly referred to as Sam. Terrence Greenbrier, also known as Terry, the father of the family, is the son of a seemingly successful author, Richard Greenbrier, who seems to be a strict father who was always very hard on his son, Terry, to become a writer, just like himself. Terry does become an author, but his only 2 written books have disappointing sales, which causes the publishing organization pull out and cease publishing the books, leading to Terry's lack of motivation and sense of inadequacy, becoming dependent and a shadow of himself, making ends meet doing product reviews. On the other hand, Terry's wife, Janice, is a successful wildlife conservationist who recently becomes promoted to a senior position. Janice, becoming tired of lack of Terry's motivation and his always down attitude, has a secret of her own which she only shares with her friend Carol about a fantasy. A fantasy that could potentially destroy and compromise her marriage with Terry. Samantha, or Sam, the youngest daughter on the other side of the story, gets the bulk of the story with her diary notes and letters explaining the story and her love affair which made her leave home. The date being 6th of June 1995, Katie comes to an empty house, surprised no one is there to greet her, curious to what might have happened. As she explores the empty mansion, she finds clues and notes left behind, unveiling the many events that took place in her short absence. The story begins with Katie leaving a voice message to her family that she's coming back home after a long year of studying and backpacking in Europe.
Hi Mom, so I got my ticket home from Europe. I get back on June 6th, but it's a really late flight because that was the cheapest, so it gets in at midnight. But don't worry, I'll get a shuttle from the airport so you don't have to pick me up. Like, really seriously, you don't have to. Okay, so, love you. See you soon. Bye.
As soon as she arrives home, she's greeted by a concerning vague note left by her sister Sam that she won't be there to see her, requesting Katie not to go around and dig where she is, being very cryptic with no more detail. Katie soon takes the spare key from the cupboard outside, entering the strangely empty house. Finding an invoice on a box which they usually use for moving, Katie unveils how the family had recently moved to this giant mansion-like house, being 1 Arbor Hill, with many of their moving boxes still lying around, depicting how the family has not still completely settled in, as if they are busy with unresolved matters still on a limbo of whether accepting their new life or not. The invoice is dated 1st of August 1994, displaying how the move coincided with the date Katie went studying abroad, or maybe even later. Soon Katie comes across Sam's journal, catching up on the events that she missed out on. Sam confirms on her journal that they moved to this new mansion after Katie went abroad, with the introverted Sam enrolling in a new unfamiliar school with unfamiliar people, making it difficult for her, especially as her closest friend, her sister Katie, left for a year, leaving a shy Sam on her own. An illustrated itinerary depicts how Katie went abroad on 6th of July 1994 on flight 881, landing in Amsterdam. Reading Sam's journal further, she explains how her first day at school was horrible, as everyone started addressing her as the Psycho House girl, as the mansion they moved into was known as the Psycho House due to the introversion and isolated nature of the previous owner, the great uncle of Katie and Sam, Oscar Mason, with people spreading unnecessary rumors calling him a psycho. This goes so far as someone called Tommy even berating her for fun, asking in a rhetorical way if it was only her uncle that went psycho or if it runs in the family. This of course leaves a bad impact on an already introverted Sam, who finds it difficult to cope in the new life until she meets one special person. It's soon revealed sometime after that in 1994, at the age of 60, Oscar passed down his mansion to his nephew, Terrence Greenbrier, the father of Katie and Sam. Entering Terry's office, Katie in a dejected manner observes the crumpled up pieces of writing the father had thrown away. Thinking that is not good enough, clear from the sticky notes on the penboard on how the father tries to reassure himself on how he can do better, clearly depicting that he's thinking that he's not doing good enough already at writing. Finding a note of a professionally written product review, it also shows how the father does product reviews as a side job to earn money, as his book writing career seems to have suffered. Finding a note from the product review company's reviews editor, Terry gets told off on how his writing has worsened compared to before, to a point that the editor had to work a lot to cut the wording shorter, addressing Terry's reviews as reminiscence of his childhood and how it's his last shot, depicting how Terry has been struggling. The boxes filled with unsold copies of Terry's books in the closet further illustrates his failed writing career on how his books didn't sell well enough to encourage him to continue writing. A letter from a publishing company accompanied by a letter from Terry's friend depict how the publishing company that published his first book, The Accidental Savior, dropped his work as the sales were much lower than expected. Terry goes on to write a follow-up to the first book, The Accidental Pariah, despite the first book's low sales, which leads to the book selling even less. This leads to Terry asking a friend for a job, and that's how he gets the job of reviewing products, clearly not being happy with how his passion career took a downfall, with his life taking an unexpected turn. Exploring the house some more, Katie finds a will from Oscar Mason, the great-uncle, dated August 1973, bequeathing the mansion, including all his valuable assets, to Terry, as he never married nor did he have any children, hence why he was known as the isolated man of the psycho house, a nasty way of calling someone introverted. Samantha's journal further talks about a childhood friend she had called Daniel, who she refers to as a weirdo. But despite that, she still hung out with him, as she quotes that he had really good Nintendo games. A letter from his mother written for Samantha's mother, she asks if Daniel can meet with Samantha again, as he wants to lend her a Nintendo game, which could be a sign of respect, asking for permission before going back to the new house, or it could be a sign of Daniel having socializing difficulties, with the mother speaking on his behalf to hang out with one of the only friends he ever had, Samantha, someone who referred to him as a weird person who only became friends as they were neighbors. Further reading Sam's journal, she talks about how it feels strange hanging out with girls for the first time, mentioning a girl called Lonnie, also known by her full name as Yolanda de Soto, who she quickly connected with, feeling like herself and at ease, explaining her only friend was Daniel from childhood, revealing she wasn't an outgoing person, being very isolated. Sam explains in her diary how she had her eyes on Yolanda, or Lonnie, who always hung out in a 7-Eleven after school playing Street Fighter. Sam finally at some point works the courage to go to the 7-Eleven and ask for a turn playing Street Fighter, and that's when she first meets Lonnie with a group of other girls. That's when their friendship kicks off, with Lonnie showing interest in seeing the psycho house becoming friends together. A letter addressed to the parents written by Sam indicates how she wanted to go to the city without giving too much detail to why, saying how she's 17 years old and an independent adult. While finding a tape given to her by Lonnie, it's clear she wanted to meet with her and other girls, being annoyed that the parents wouldn't allow her. This letter seems to be written 1 year ago, as Sam explains she's 3 years younger than Katie, making her to be 18 years old now. Reading further into the journal, it expands on how Sam and Lonnie's friendship progressed to a point where Lonnie asks Sam to dye her hair red, when they just look into the mirror with Lonnie calling Sam beautiful. In the meantime, with Lonnie and Sam's relationship developing, Janice and Terry's relationship seems to become a little rocky, with Terry not being his normal self, being a downer due to his current situation. Janice, on the other hand, happens to lead a controlled fire for training the Rangers, where she meets a new Ranger called Rick, whom she becomes infatuated with, which is insinuated in a letter sent from Janice's friend, Carol. Another letter, being a performance evaluation written by Janice, describes Ranger Rick as an exemplary member, giving him very good comments, clearly showing how she has feelings for him. In the meantime, as time goes by, Sam and Lonnie become closer, sharing interests in video games, rock music, and ghost hunting. As a matter of fact, believing they have somehow managed to see their deceased great-uncle, Oscar. A further journal entry by Sam reveals the time she wrote a stern letter to her parents for wanting to go to the city. She in fact wanted decided to go to a concert with Lonnie, sleeping over someone else's place. In the concert, Lonnie hugs Sam in a strange way, which makes Sam believe that Lonnie might know she sees her more than just a friend. This leads to a day when Lonnie comes over to Sam's house when they kiss for the first time, making the relationship more than just a friendship, something that had been building up for some time, explaining why Sam felt different hanging out with girls for the first time. Despite Sam's openness with Katie, she is quite opposite to the parents, not revealing she has a girlfriend, not knowing how they would react, revealing how close she was with her sister. Finding a letter from a college named the Reed College, Sam gets accepted for a scholarship in a creative writing task summer program. She informs Lonnie about this, inviting her to come and visit her dorm, when all of a sudden Lonnie breaks the news that she ships out on June 6th, doing basic training for Army. This of course shocks Sam, who has been falling in love with Lonnie, someone who acts oblivious to why Sam would feel that way, as if her relationship with her doesn't matter that much at all. As Sam asks when they can see each other again, Lonnie obnoxiously responds that they can have fun while they can, completely dismissing emotions and attachments involved, saying that the Army life will take you forever and anywhere it can. In the meantime, Katie finds a response letter from her grandfather to her father, who responds after receiving a copy of Terry's first book, The Accidental Savior. Although the father, Richard, at first congratulates Terry, he becomes a harsh critic, picking apart all the negatives, ending the letter by saying Terry can do better. This explains why Terry has been feeling down so lately, having sticky notes in his office that he can do better, not believing in himself. He seems to hold his father in high regard, seeing him as a very successful author and his idol, hence why he loses encouragement and motivation, questioning himself after his father's harsh criticism. In the meantime, Lonnie and Sam stay together, with Lonnie joining Todd's band, a mutual friend being the temporary lead singer. After a few days of rehearsal, Sam watches the band play in Todd's basement, being amazed at how beautifully Lonnie actually sings. During a school trip, Lonnie and Sam take a detour, getting lost for more than an hour, which makes the teachers report back to their parents. Sam's parents blame Lonnie for Sam's sudden change of behavior, skipping classes at times, having lower grades, not knowing that they're actually dating. Sam explains in her journal, getting to know Lonnie some more, she acts like complete different people, at times being loud and anti-authority, trashing a locker to defend Sam's honor, while at training and drill, having perfect uniform and following orders to become an exemplary part of the Army. It's revealed in another part of the journal that Lonnie's mother lives in a different state, not being accepting of who she is, being very religious, which makes Sam also express herself how her parents are not very open-minded either. Sam has a talk with her parents, explaining that she is into girls when her parents, instead of being angry or sad, just dismiss it as a phase, which confuses Sam. This leads to the parents asking her to leave the door open every time Lonnie is around so they won't do something they don't approve of. Meanwhile, on the Janice and Tara's side, Janice gets an invite from Ranger Rick to a concert which she originally wanted to go with a girlfriend who cancelled, conveniently leaving 2 tickets for Janice and Rick. Janice clearly talks to her friend Carol about her little desperate need to date Rick while being married, with Carol totally approving of it and wanting to know more. While Rick and Janice's relationship is left ambiguous, a wedding invitation is soon sent to them, with Rick actually getting married, presumably to his girlfriend, possibly suggesting Janice didn't have any intentions and it was nothing but a foolish fantasy, but at the same time, it's not very clear how far this fantasy went. Checking the calendar, Rick's wedding was on Janice and Terry's schedule, but for some reason, they decide to cancel and go to an anniversary trip, coinciding with Katie's arrival, hence why the parents aren't home. This is a little strange to why they would cancel and go to an anniversary trip, which we later find out to be a couple counseling retreat, which could indicate that Janice came to her senses, realizing how destructive her fantasy is and how she needs to work on her marriage and the man she truly loves, her husband. Hence why she decides to not have Rick involved in her life anymore, focusing on her relationship, which has been neglected and suffering as of recently. This could be due to how much she has been working, at the point of becoming becoming promoted to a director in her field, not having enough time with Terry, but it ends on a good note that she tries to fix it rather than disposing of it. On the other hand, when Daniel comes to visit Sam to get his game back, Sam acts indifferent, even saying she dreaded seeing him, but he brings with him a letter they wrote when they were kids, which makes Sam become overwhelmed with guilt on how she has been a horrible friend to him, avoiding him and looking at him with contempt, which makes her open up to him and apologize for not being a good friend. Daniel says it's all okay, revealing how Sam only saw him as a weird kid because she dreaded being like him, an isolated person with not many friends, hurting the only person she could, dumping all her frustration on him. But now she has overcome her darkness and appreciates Daniel for who he truly is. It also ends pretty well for Terry, who despite the hardship, harsh criticism of his father, and never-ending self-doubt, keeps on following his dream and writing with his wife Janice, becoming the partner she forgot to be and had been before, a supportive and loving partner who encourages him to keep on writing and completing his discarded ideas and drafts. That's when he writes the third installment in the series, The Accidental Warrior, which gets published by a publishing company that specializes in unique, unrealized hidden gems of genres, finding previous books of Terry and becoming amazed by them. The sci-fi, quirky and thrilling style, which clearly depicts just because something is not liked by some people, would be unliked by different people. This is exactly what Terry needed, the exposure to the right audience who would love and cherish his creative and unique mind and storytelling. With Terry and Janice having a happy ending, showing how hard one has to fight for things that matter, it leaves Sam wondering how Lonnie will possibly be sent to different parts of the world, barely being able to see each other again. This thought keeps bothering Sam, which makes her rethink all the small little details, loving every second she spent with Lonnie. On the last 48 hours before leaving, Lonnie has a going away show when she sings a song dedicated to Sam, which makes her very emotional, leaving the show to the outside alleyway, crying. That's when Lonnie joins her after some time, trying to comfort her, which leads to the last day. They decide their last night together would be their best, putting their ghost hunting adventures to an end, bidding Oscar farewell, running to the attic and looking at their photos together, which makes Sam burst into tears. Lonnie tries to reassure Sam that it's going to be okay and life will move on, a representation with her personality of being always on the move, seeming as if she's a free spirit at first, but analyzing her life, it's clear that she's afraid of attachments and settling down, as she was never fully taken care of by her parents, with the father leaving the mother and the mother seemingly not accepting her for who she is, living in a different state. Sam says she doesn't want to move on and move forward with life without Lonnie, which makes Lonnie also cry, realizing that she is truly loved this time around, an opportunity she never had, a shot of settling down and being attached and secure. They fall asleep together, with Sam awakening in the morning, not seeing her anymore. Not accepting that she's not there anymore, she stays in the attic, not being able to move on yet. After losing 2 calls from Lonnie, she manages to get to the third, with Lonnie saying that she is in Salem, not being able to go on with the army, with only thing on her mind being Sam, wanting Sam to go and find her so they can start their own life together, having their seemingly happy ever after as well, driving into the sunset. Sam, loving Lonnie, writes a final letter to Katie, saying how much she loves her and that she is truly happy and they will meet one day. Even though Sam and Lonnie's story seems like a happy ever after, I find it difficult to believe just leaving on a whim with no plan will work in a long term, unless they actually plan their future well, becoming responsible, but I think Sam running away from home was so unnecessary. Sure, the parents weren't very open-minded, but they loved her and supported her no matter what. It's just not very fair to up and leave on a whim with no proper goodbye and keeping in constant touch with the family. The car that Sam even drives was bought for her by the parents, so I'm guessing it's under the parents' name as well, and they were the ones who insured it and taxed it. So I wonder if Sam even knows how to or can afford to reinsure it and tax it. All I hope is that Lonnie and Sam can find true happiness and stability while keeping in touch with their family, at least Sam's, as they seemed like decent folks. Right folks, that's about it for this video. What are your thoughts and opinions? Let me know in the comment section down below. I enjoyed it myself, but I think the ending could be a little bit different. Either way, if you enjoyed the video, you can stay tuned for more by hitting on the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your host Star, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.